If I tell you, say I love you, oh. My money, my body, now your own, oh baby. 30 billion for the account, yo. Yeah.
YouTube, what is going on? Young Mustard is back with another video to give my NBA weekly review, and it is the second part of this series that I will be trying to do every single week. Now, I know last week I did miss the NBA weekly review. I did miss that video, but it was due to the fact that one, I lost my voice, and two, a lot of things have just been going on in college lately that have just held me from making videos consistently like I used to, but I will do my best. So this Thanksgiving break did give me a lot of opportunities and a lot of time to just sit back and make some videos, so expect some content to be coming sooner on down the line. Now, if you have not seen my first video of my first NBA weekly review, you guys should check it out. We're gonna have our 5 segments, and then we're gonna have our play of the week and our player of the week. So without further ado, let's get into the first segment. The Celtics have finally lost. Their 16-game winning streak has come to an end to the Miami Heat, who have been struggling, and they are not even 500. I don't even think they're in the playoffs right now. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. But the Celtics winning streak has finally come to an end, and they have lost to the Miami Heat. And to be honest, it's fine. I really don't think it matters as much. Now, it is a big topic because, you know, they were the #1 team in the NBA by record. Currently, they are 17-3 because they did beat the Orlando Magic yesterday. But the big news about them this week was that they lost to the Heat. And to be honest, I do not think anyone's to blame for that loss. It was just time. I mean, Kyrie Irving even stated after they lost that it was time for them to lose their, winning streak. I mean, when you look at the Miami Heat, their backcourt stepped up. I mean, Dion Waiters and Goran Dragic, they both had over 25 points each. Dion Waiters had 26 points, 6 assists, and 2 rebounds. Meanwhile, Goran Dragic had 27 points, 4 assists, and 5 rebounds. And then when you look at the Boston Celtics, I know Kyrie Irving had over 20 points, but when you look at someone like Jason Tatum, who had 7 rebounds and 4 assists and also had 18 points, you can't really blame anybody on that Boston Celtics team. I know Al Horford wasn't very good, but he also did have 4 assists and 9 rebounds as well as 7 points. So this Boston Celtics team, that game, they didn't play a horrible game. They just, I think it was more of they couldn't keep up the winning streak forever, and someone had to take them down, and it just happened to be the Miami Heat of all teams. It happened to be them. I mean, no disrespect to the Miami Heat, to their fans, nothing like that, but they've kind of been a little disappointing this year. They've kind of underachieved so far. They're not in the playoffs. They're 10th in the Eastern Conference. I mean, with all due respect, let's just be real here. You could easily call that a fluke victory, but they did beat the Magic the next game. So, I mean, props to the Celtics for keeping that streak. They had 16 games in that streak. Let's see if they can do another one. I mean, they beat the Magic as well, and when they beat the Magic, Kyrie Irving did what he usually did, and he had 30 points, he had 3 assists and 4 rebounds. And also, when you look at Jaylen Brown, 13 points, Terry Rozier had 23 points off the bench, Baines had 13 points and 11 rebounds, Tatum also had 11, Marcus Morris had 9 and 6 rebounds. I mean, this team just knows how to step it up. Al Horford had 10 assists. I mean, this team, when one person struggles in one area, another person can pick up the slack. And I mean, at the end of the day, even though they did lose this streak, they are going to be fine. I mean, just imagine if this team had Gordon Hayward. Who knows what they would have done this year? Who knows how good they would have been this year and how much better they would have been? So at the end of the day, I understand they did lose their streak, but it's not going to hurt them in the long run. It is something that happens. Streaks are meant to come to an end. So shout out to the Celtics for having a great season, but shout out to the Heat as well for beating them and doing what even the Warriors failed to do. Russell fucking Westbrook finally got his revenge on KD and the Golden State Warriors, who he has struggled to beat. I believe it was like 7 straight losses to the Golden State Warriors. I mean, even including when they came back from that 3-1 deficit and those 3 losses that they suffered to the Warriors last year. I mean, Jesus Christ, this guy has been suffering when it came to facing the Golden State Warriors. And he finally got his revenge when they beat the Golden State Warriors 108-91. He had 34 points. He also had 4 steals, 9 assists, 10 rebounds, and shot 48% from the field. So this guy was balling, man. This guy did what he came there and intended to do, he wreaked havoc. He came with that energy and with that drive and that passion that we all know Russell Westbrook to have when he goes 110% every time he steps on that court. Now, I know some people are going to say, what about the game against the Pistons? Well, I'm going to talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder's struggles in another video. Expect that video to come next week. I will talk about the OKC Thunder. They have been quite disappointing this year. They're not even in the playoffs, but in pertaining to this specific game, I mean, Russ did it. He showed up, and KD did not have the greatest game in the world. He had 21 points and shot 47% from the field, but he also did have 4 turnovers, and it only becomes worse. And then when you look at Steph Curry's game, I mean, on surface, he had 24 points, shot 50% from the field, 6 assists and 5 rebounds, but he as well turned it over a lot and had 6 turnovers. I mean, Russell Westbrook dominated this game, and the 2 people that you expect to show up on the other team did not show up. I mean, also Paul George added 20 points, Carmelo added 22 points, Steven Adams had 14 points and 12 rebounds. I mean, this team against the Warriors, they stacked up pretty well, and a lot of people are expecting this Oklahoma City Thunder team to be the #1 threat to the Golden State Warriors, and they beat them. They have become one of the only few teams to beat the Golden State Warriors. I mean, the Warriors are 3-5, and one of those losses come to one of the teams that people consider to be the biggest threat to them repeating as champions. I mean, that's a big deal. And Russell Westbrook dominated. This was not, a close game. It was 108-91. It was a blowout. So, I mean, when you consider the fact that they blew them out of the building, I mean, I understand that Oklahoma City was at home. We kind of have to see what Golden State does at home as well. But at the end of the day, if the Oklahoma City Thunder can prove that they can beat them, because even though that this is just a regular season game, this game shows that they can at least beat them and at least push them to a limit, unlike a lot of other teams in the league. So if they can do that consistently for 4 games, hopefully they can, to give us an interesting Western Conference Finals. Even though I do think that in the playoffs, the Warriors are going to just basically ramrod through everybody in their path, they're still gonna, have some interesting games in the playoffs and maybe even push them to 6 or possibly 7, even though I highly doubt it, but possibly, keyword possibly. So at the end of the day, shout out to Russ for getting that, that victory, and for getting inside KD's head. I saw KD, call him a pussy. I read his lips. Everyone who has a brain read his lips and knows that's what he said. So Russ kind of got under the skin of Kevin Durant, and let's see what happens the next time they meet in Golden State. So shout out to Russ, and shout out to the Oklahoma City Thunder for proving that they can beat the Golden State Warriors in a game, just in a game. Derrick Rose. Not gonna lie, this is a very touchy subject for me, Derrick Rose, for those who don't know, he is one of the biggest things that got me to start, really getting into basketball. Started watching around his rookie year. I remember the dunk he had on Dragic and everything. He really made me become a Chicago Bulls fan. Even though Dwayne Wade is my favorite player of all time, Derrick Rose is, someone who I will forever remember in the game of basketball. The only success in my lifetime that my favorite team has ever had is when he was the best player on that team and when he took them to the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, at this point in time in Derrick Rose's career, it's really sad where he is right now. He's arguably the saddest story in NBA history. When you consider the fact that this is a man who was the MVP of the league. He was the face of the league in 2011. I mean, the guy averaged 25 points, nearly 8 assists, and also had 4 rebounds. I mean, the guy took a team that was full of injuries to players like Joakim Noah, Carlos Boozer, Luol Deng. He took that team of scrubs and bums to the Eastern Conference Finals, and he won over 60 games that season. And I understand it is the East, but when you look at the East, that was the time where you had Dwight doing Dwight things in Orlando. You had the Big Three in Boston. You had Miami. I mean, this guy was basically doing everything. He did everything for this team, and I show him all the props and all the love that he deserves, because at the end of the day, he's someone who is one of the greatest Chicago Bulls players in history, and he's the greatest point guard that Chicago's ever had. And it's crazy that he won the MVP in his 3rd year in the league. He's the youngest MVP in history, and it's crazy that he's probably going to be the only MVP in history to not make the Hall of Fame unless he goes to ride the coattails of the Golden State Warriors and win a few rings. I mean, it's sad where Derrick Rose is in his career. I mean, he's apparently asked for a leave from the Cleveland Cavaliers, and he deserves it. I mean, his injuries are just something that he really does need to think about. I mean, out of all the possible games that he could have played, he's played in only 237 of the games. Out of 412 regular season games, he's only played in 237 of them. I mean, it sucks, and it's all happened since his torn ACL in the 2012 playoffs, and to be honest, he shouldn't have even been in the game. It was the fourth quarter, it was a blowout against the 8th seeded Philadelphia 76ers. What were the chances of them coming back? And everything just goes down the drain, and we even lose that series to the Philadelphia 76ers. I mean, I'm just kind of going through everything that's happened for Derrick Rose in his whole career, and then he comes back, meniscus injury, eye injury, hamstring injuries, sorenesses to his ankle injuries, gets traded to New York, tears his meniscus again. Then he goes to Cleveland, ankle injuries. And what's crazy is in Cleveland this year, when you look at his numbers in the 7 games that he has played, he's actually been really solid. 14 points on 47% field goal shooting just under 91% from the free throw line. I mean, the guy's been a solid player for them this year in the 7 games that he's played, but that's the problem. It's only 7 games out of the 18 games that he should have played. And it's really sad at this point in his career. I mean, he stated that he's sick of the injuries. He needs to think about it. It's affecting him not only physically, but mentally. I mean, I even stated, if you haven't seen my video, it's a really old video that I made a while ago, why Derrick Rose should consider retirement. At this point, I mean, just consider it, at least just consider it. I mean, you gotta think about it. These injuries are not gonna stop itself. I mean, your knees are literally twice the age that you are right now. He's 29 with 50-year-old knees. I mean, Vince Carter's got better knees than he does right now. I mean, it's at the point in time of his career where he needs to think about not just, you know, his basketball game, but his way of life. I mean, it really does come down to that. I mean, Derrick Rose, one of the greatest players that I've ever seen play in his prime. And I really think it's a sad story, but at the end of the day, he's got to think of his health and put your health first before your career, because your health can compromise your career and it can stop what you're making. I mean, you still got that shoe deal. You still got the contract with Cleveland left. And I mean, you've made your money. I mean, you got $25 million a year for a few years from that contract that you had after you won the MVP. So, I mean, you got money still left over, and you still got $80 million left in your contract with Adidas. So, you're still going to get paid. Just retire, keep your health intact, go spend time with your family, just kind of fade away into the history of the NBA, because that's really all that's left for Derrick Rose at this particular point in time in his career. The Cleveland Cavaliers are quote-unquote back, or should I say they're just winning now, which I was saying before. I mean, the Cleveland Cavaliers were going to go on a little run. I kind of did predict that. I understand that they were struggling. Their defense was atrocious. It still is atrocious. I mean, they give up a lot of points to a lot of really bad teams like the Brooklyn Nets, and they allow players who are not that great to drop about 20 to 30 points on them every single night, such as Rondé Hollis-Jefferson or Justin Holiday. The list goes on and on. But over the past 7 games, they have shown that they are still the best team in the Eastern Conference, and they're going to make the NBA Finals regardless. I mean, they've won 7 straight, and they are back to being a top 3 seeded team in the Eastern Conference. They are 3rd in the East. They are behind the Celtics and the Pistons. They are 12-7. They've won their last 7 games. The last 10 games, they are 8-2. And I think they're going to just continue this streak, and they might possibly go on an even 20-game winning streak. You could actually even see that happening. But when I look at the rest of their schedule, there is a chance that they could lose. They got the Sixers coming up next on Monday. They got also the Grizzlies, who were starting off pretty hot, but then they just slowed down. The Pacers, who have been looking really nice this season. And they got the Sixers again. I mean, no one of legit championship contention is really coming up. I mean, you got the Bucks, but then they play the Warriors on Christmas. But by that time, they'll actually build up a pretty solid winning streak and go into that game probably with some momentum. Maybe IT will get some news on him by then. So this team is going to, you know, they're going to have their struggling times, don't get me wrong. They're going to be horrible defensively. I think they're going to get blown out by a record margin between 2 teams that can meet in the finals. But, I mean, at the end of the day, this team, they're going to be fine. They're still going to make the finals. Who knows what the Celtics will be when Gordon Hayward comes back. Don't get me wrong. When Hayward comes back, who knows what the Celtics will be. Jason Tatum looks really great for a rookie. Jaylen Brown's been balling. But at the end of the day, to get to the finals, you got to go through Cleveland. Cleveland is still the #1 team in the East. They're going to get to the finals every single year as long as there's a man named LeBron James. So these little quote-unquote worries that people were having that the Cavs may lose to Toronto or maybe Washington or maybe Boston or maybe Milwaukee, I mean, we can put those rumors and those worries aside, because at the end of the day, Cleveland's still the team to beat in the East. They're still going to make the finals. They may struggle, but that's what they do. That's what LeBron James teams always do. They have a habit of struggling in the regular season or sometimes even not caring, and then they dominate in the playoffs and go 16-1. That is what LeBron James teams do. So they're not back. They're just doing what LeBron James teams normally do. This Golden State Warriors team just obliterated the Bulls in more ways that I cannot even think of. I mean, I've never seen a more dominant performance against such a bad team. I mean, don't get me wrong, I understand the Bulls, they're 3-14, they're 1-10 away, so they were guaranteed to basically lose this game. Don't get me wrong. But the Warriors, not only did they win 143-94, and I know some people are saying, why are we even talking about this? But for starters, one, Steph Curry dropped 27 points in one quarter. Let's just get that out the way. And also, Jordan Bell had his first start and he dominated. But first, let's just start with Steph Curry. He had 33 points, 4 assists, 7 rebounds, shot 10 of 18 from the field and 4 of 11 from 3, and shot 100% from the free throw line. And then, when you look at Klay Thompson, he had 29 points, 5 of 9 from 3, 12 of 17 from the field, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal. And then, when you look at Jordan Bell, my God, this man dominated in his first NBA start. He had 7 points, 3 of 4 from the field, which I know some people are just like, okay, who cares? He also had 4 assists, 6 rebounds, 2 steals, and get this, in his first NBA start, 6 blocks. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, 6 blocks, ladies and gentlemen. When I tell you this game made me hate the Chicago Bulls even more, I'm not playing. It really made me hate this team. I mean, the Chicago Bulls, they gave this man away for cash. For cash. $3 million. They gave him up for cash, bro. This is so disrespectful to every Chicago Bulls fan to have to watch this. To have to watch this man consistently shot block us 6 times, whether it was a chase down or just a straight up block and a pack in our face. We had to sit back and watch this man, who we gave up for $3 million, dominate us like this. I mean, the Chicago Bulls, what fools, what idiots, man. You say you want to build for the future, but you give up a player who can easily be a cornerstone of the future. I mean, it's stupid, and he was the last pick. He would have been a huge steal. This is one of the biggest steals of this draft. I mean, the Bulls, y'all stay messing up, bro. Y'all stay messing up. I mean, when you look at the starting lineup for the Golden State Warriors against the Bulls, I mean, they had an average plus minus of 22. I mean, they did this without KD. If they had KD, they probably would have dropped 200 points on this team. And I'm not even playing. I'm so serious. They dominated offensively and defensively. I mean, when you look at the Warriors' percentages from the field and from 3 and from the free throw line, get this. They shot 58.2% from the field. They also shot 44.4% from 3 and 100% from the free throw line. Yes, 100% from the free throw line. They were 21 of 21 from the free throw line. And then when you look at the Bulls were just demolished and demoralized due to the defense of the Golden State Warriors. They shot 73.3% from the free throw line. Not that great. They shot 36% from 3, which isn't horrible. But get this, they shot 35.4% from the field. The Warriors just dominated them. They made them look like children. They played this team and they beat this team like they beat an AAU basketball team. Scratch that, a YMCA kids basketball team. They dominated them. They decimated them piece by piece. No one was efficient at all. Markkanen was 4 of 16 from the field. Valentine was 4 of 10 from the field. Lopez was 3 of 7 with 7 points. all of the players on the Chicago Bulls team had a negative plus minus. I mean, this was just a dominant performance from this team. Imagine if they had Durant. I mean, this team was just dominant, bro. I've never seen dominance to this extent. The Golden State Warriors will be dominant in the NBA for years to come, and this kind of dominance we'll most likely never see again from a single team in this era. So fuck the Bulls for giving away Jordan Bell for cash, and I guess shout out to the Warriors for achieving something that a lot of franchises strive to achieve and a lot of franchises fail at achieving. OKC. So keep doing y'all, keep building your little dynasty, because at the end of the day it's paying off. Now, the play of the week was really hard to decide. You had Lonzo Ball dunking on Willie Cauley-Stein. You had Russell Westbrook's energetic dunk against his former teammate Kevin Durant on the Golden State Warriors. But I had to go with my man D Book's game-tying shot against the Milwaukee Bucks. One, because he's young. Hopefully, this is just the first of many that he will have. We call him Kobe, or at least people say he's the next Kobe, and people compare him to Kobe. So hopefully this is the D-Book mentality. I know that was a horrible, horrible corny line, but forgive me there, Kobe fans. Hopefully D-Book, you know, he can continue this kind of mentality. And it was just so clutch, bro. I mean, this is clutch genes in his veins. He's got ice in his veins, man. This may be the new ice in his veins, brother, that we got to be looking at, because D-Book is balling this year. He's showing that he can carry a team. It's not like he's winning. Don't get me wrong, he's not winning or anything, but he needs other players to step up, which I did address in my last weekly review, so I'm not going to really delve into that. So at the end of the day, D-Book, shout out to you. You deserve the play of the week. Now, when it comes to the player of the week, it is going to surprise you guys a little bit, because I'm going to have to give this to Dwight Howard, who has been arguably the most underrated player this season. I mean, Dwight Howard this year has actually had a better year than arguably all his years since he left Orlando. I mean, when you consider the expectations that have been placed on Dwight Howard, maybe it had to take him having basically no expectations whatsoever for him to actually start balling, averaging 15 points and 13 rebounds a block and shooting just under 60% from the field. And then when you consider the fact that this week he has been a monster, which is why he is our player of the week. I mean, this guy, which these two games they have won, by the way, this week he is averaging just under 26 points per game, 17 rebounds per game, 2 assists, 3 blocks, and also shooting, get this, 78% from the field. And they won. They blew out Minnesota and they beat Washington. So this guy, not only was he winning, but he was putting up great numbers. These are Shaq numbers. Let's be real. This week, this guy decided to go full Shaq on us this week, and they won against credible teams. Washington is no joke. Minnesota's no joke. He basically bodied Cat. He made Cat his, you know what. I'm not going to go that far. I'm not going to cuss that deep. But he balled, and he deserves the player of the week. He's having a very underrated season, and arguably he's the most underrated player in the league today. Not saying he is, but he's in that discussion and in that conversation. So I got to give Dwight Howard some love, because he has been balling, especially this week. That's why he deserves the player of the week slot. Alright, so that concludes part 2 of the NBA Weekly Review. This is my second time doing this. Let me know in the comment section if you enjoyed this series, if I should continue. Hit that like button. Also comment down below if you agree or disagree. If I left any segments, or if you disagreed with anything that I said or agreed, let me know down below, you guys. I will try to interact with as many people as possible. Follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, and add me on Snapchat. The links will be down below in the description box. So without further ado, I'm out. Peace.
Money fall on you, banana fall on you, Prada fall on you, cause I'm in love with you. Money fall on you, banana fall on you, paparazzi follow you, cause I'm in love with you. Are you done talking?